Aliens harmed a human's daughter, not knowing her father was a super soldier. Daniel Harper walked slowly along the busy streets of Nova City. The spaceport towered above him, its metal beams shining under the sun. Ships from other planets came and went, landing with loud hums and powerful engines. Daniel's hand brushed over the small pendant around his neck. He did this often, thinking of Lily. His 10-year-old daughter was waiting for him at home, and he could not let anything happen to her. Lily was curious about everything. She loved the city, with its bright lights, strange smells, and aliens of all shapes and sizes. She often ran ahead of her father when they walked through crowded markets. Today, she wanted to see the new alien merchants who had arrived from the distant planet of Kratos. Daniel kept a careful watch, walking just behind her, but he could not stop her excitement. "Dad, look! That one has glowing crystals!" Lily pointed at a small vendor stall. The alien behind it was tall, with thin arms and long fingers. Its eyes were deep black and it moved quickly, showing its goods to curious buyers. "Be careful, Lily," Daniel said gently. His voice was calm, but his eyes scanned the crowd. He had learned long ago that life was unpredictable. Too many times he had seen small mistakes cost lives. Lily laughed. "I will, Dad. Don't worry." But Daniel did worry. He had trained his entire life for situations far more dangerous than a crowded market. Few people knew the truth about him. He was not an ordinary man. He was a super soldier, part of a secret human program that had been developed decades ago. His body was stronger, faster, and sharper than any normal human. His mind had been trained to think ahead, to calculate danger in seconds, but he had left that life behind when Lily was born. He only wanted a quiet life, a normal life, for his daughter. As they reached the end of the market, the sky suddenly darkened. A loud hum filled the air, a sound unlike any engine Daniel had ever heard. People stopped and stared upward. Ships, small and fast, appeared above the city. They were not friendly-looking ships. They had sharp edges, dark metal, and strange markings that Daniel had never seen. "Dad?" Lily said, tugging on his sleeve. Her voice was small and nervous. Daniel looked up. His heart sank. He recognized the ships instantly, not from any human records, but from memory, from training. Aliens had come, and they were here to take what they wanted. He could not let this turn into a disaster. "Stay close to me," Daniel said firmly. He grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her behind a nearby crate. People around them screamed and ran. The aliens moved fast. They landed small pods onto the streets. From the pods came creatures with weapons. They were tall and thin, but their arms were strong. Their eyes were cold. Daniel's mind raced. He had a plan, but he needed to act carefully. He could not reveal his abilities to the public yet. If he did, questions would come and people might get hurt. He could fight them, but he had to protect Lily first. The aliens moved toward the market, breaking crates and grabbing goods. They seemed to ignore humans at first, but then one of them saw Lily. She was small, standing alone for a moment, holding her small backpack. The alien raised its weapon. "Lily!" Daniel shouted, running toward her, but it was too late. The weapon fired. A bright flash of energy hit her shoulder. She cried out, falling to the ground. The crowd scattered, screaming. Daniel's heart froze. He did not think. His body moved on its own. He ran faster than any human could, jumping over crates and debris. In seconds, he reached the alien and grabbed it, twisting its arm. The creature shrieked and stumbled back, but others were already aiming at him. He grabbed Lily gently and pulled her into his arms. Her small body shook, and blood ran from her wound. "It's okay, Lily, I've got you," he said softly, hiding the anger that burned inside. His voice was calm, but inside a storm was building. The aliens turned their attention back to the chaos around them. They did not realize who they had harmed. Daniel was not like other humans. If they knew, they would never have dared to touch his daughter. "Dad!" "It hurts," Lily whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I know, sweetheart, I know," Daniel said, holding her close. His eyes scanned the streets. The aliens were retreating, taking whatever they wanted from the market. They did not seem to care about the humans they injured, but Daniel did care. He always cared. Once the aliens disappeared into their ships, Daniel carried Lily back to the small apartment they shared. He set her on the bed and examined her wound. It was not fatal, but it would need time and care. His hands moved with skill, cleaning the burn and wrapping it with bandages. Lily looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Why did they hurt me, Dad?" Daniel took a deep breath. He wanted to lie, to tell her the aliens were monsters and nothing more. But he knew that one day she would understand. One day she would understand what it meant to be human and what her father had sacrificed to protect her. "They made a mistake, Lily," he said quietly. "They didn't know who they were dealing with. But I promise you, they will learn the truth soon enough." Lily nodded slowly, trusting him completely. She did not know that her father's calm was a mask for the storm inside him. Daniel had once been part of missions that no human had survived. He had faced enemies stronger, faster, and smarter than these aliens, and he had won. Now he would have to awaken that part of himself. Not for fame, not for glory, but for his daughter. For the first time in years, Daniel allowed himself to feel the anger he had kept buried. It was sharp, precise, and controlled. He would make the aliens pay, but he would do it in a way that ensured no one else got hurt. He looked out the window at the night sky. The ships had disappeared, but they would not be gone for long. The galaxy was vast, and aliens were always watching. But Daniel Harper was ready. As he held Lily, he whispered a promise. "No one will ever harm you again, not while I am here." In that moment, Daniel made a choice. His quiet life was over. He was no longer just a father. He was a warrior. The universe had made a mistake by thinking humans were weak. And now Daniel would show them the truth. The next day, the city would wake to rumors of humans fighting back. But no one would know who Daniel Harper really was. Not yet. He would move in the shadows, like a ghost, striking only when necessary. He had trained for this. He had been ready all his life, and for the first time, Daniel felt a spark of hope. Humanity was stronger than anyone believed. And he, a simple man in appearance, carried that strength in every bone of his body. Lily slept peacefully, unaware of the coming storm, but Daniel knew that soon she would be safe, and the universe would remember the name of the father who protected his child at any cost. Daniel Harper did not sleep well that night. Lily was safe in her bed, wrapped in blankets, but he could not rest. His mind raced with thoughts of the aliens, the attack, and the danger that had touched his daughter. He had lived through battles that no ordinary human could survive. He had faced enemies across the stars, and yet nothing felt worse than seeing Lily hurt. By morning, Daniel had made a decision. He could not wait. The aliens had attacked his city and harmed his daughter, believing humans were weak. They had underestimated him. And now he would show them exactly what they had done. He packed lightly. He did not need much. His body carried what he needed: strength, speed, skill, and a mind trained for combat. He took a small bag with basic supplies, his personal weapons hidden beneath his coat, and a communicator to track signals. He kissed Lily on the forehead. "I'll be back soon, Lily," he said softly. "Stay here. Stay safe." Lily nodded, sleepy and trusting. "Be careful, Dad!" Daniel did not answer. He only nodded and stepped into the busy streets. The city was alive with its usual noise. People moved quickly, unaware of the danger that had passed the night before. The alien ships were gone, but he knew they would return, and he would be ready. The first step was to find out where the aliens had gone. Daniel moved through the city with calm, quiet steps. He was careful to avoid surveillance cameras and patrolling guards, but his eyes missed nothing. He could read patterns, notice unusual movements, and detect signs of recent activity that most people would not even see. The alien pods had left traces, burn marks, crushed debris, and energy residues. Following these signs, Daniel left the city and entered the outskirts where the streets gave way to open fields. The aliens had not traveled far. Their energy traces led him to a small landing site hidden behind rocky hills. He crouched behind a boulder and watched. 3 aliens were repairing a small ship. They had weapons laid out and they spoke in a language Daniel did not understand. But he did not need to. Their movements, their tension, their fear of being discovered, he understood it all. He was trained to read behavior as easily as words. Daniel waited until nightfall. Then he moved. He ran across the open field, silent and fast, his feet barely making a sound. He reached the ship and disabled the guards with small, precise strikes. They fell to the ground quietly, unconscious. He did not want to kill them yet. He only wanted information. Inside the ship, Daniel found data logs. He connected his device, hacking into the alien system. His eyes scanned the information quickly. They had come to Earth for resources, not expecting resistance. They had no idea that humans were capable of fighting back. And they had no idea that the man hunting them now was not ordinary. As he read the logs, he discovered the location of the alien base. It was on a small planet in the neighboring system, hidden within a rocky canyon. The base was lightly guarded but fortified, built to hold weapons and prisoners. The aliens planned to return to their fleet soon. Daniel smiled faintly. They had underestimated him again. He had time and he had a plan. He returned to the city to prepare. He could not stay away from Lily for too long, but he also could not risk going unprepared. He needed to gather tools, weapons, and information. While he did this, he also helped the humans who had been affected by the previous attack. People were scared, hiding in their homes, afraid of the aliens returning. Daniel moved among them quietly, helping wherever he could. He used his speed and strength to fix damage, lift debris, and guide people to safety. No one saw the full extent of what he could do. To them, he was a kind man, strong and helpful, but ordinary. But the aliens would learn differently. While he worked, he met Maya Collins, a scientist who had noticed strange energy readings during the attack. She was curious and cautious, moving close to Daniel without knowing he was a super soldier. Did you see what happened last night? Maya asked. The aliens. They were fast, but something about the way you helped people. It's like you were prepared for everything. I've learned to act quickly when needed. That's all. Maya nodded slowly, sensing there was more to him than he let on. She did not press, but she decided to watch him. She had always admired humans who could survive in dangerous situations, and now she had seen one up close. As night fell again, Daniel set out for the alien planet. He traveled through hidden routes using small ships and safe channels to avoid detection. His body moved with precision, every motion calculated. He did not tire easily. He did not fear danger. When he reached the planet, he observed from a distance. The alien base was as he expected, guarded but overconfident. He watched their routines, noting when patrols passed, where the weapons were stored, and how the aliens communicated. Every detail mattered. Every second counted. He waited until the aliens rested. Then he moved. Silent as a shadow, he climbed the rocky terrain and entered the base. Using his enhanced strength, he disarmed traps and disabled guards without raising alarms. He moved with the skill of someone who had trained for decades. Inside the base, Daniel found a room filled with data and equipment. He scanned it quickly. The aliens were planning more attacks on human cities. They saw humans as weak. They did not know they had made a mistake by harming his daughter. Daniel smiled faintly. He did not feel pleasure. He felt a sense of purpose. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Now he would remind the galaxy that humans were dangerous when provoked. He left traces to confuse the aliens, making them think someone had been inside their base before him. He did not want to fight yet. He wanted to prepare. He wanted to strike when it would have the most impact. As he returned to the outskirts, he encountered alien patrols. They had detected something unusual. Daniel moved swiftly, hiding in shadows, leaping over obstacles, and using the terrain to his advantage. They tried to corner him, but he was faster, stronger, and smarter than they expected. Within moments, they were unconscious, and he left without a trace. Daniel paused on a cliff, looking at the alien base in the distance. The night sky was filled with stars, and he thought of Lily sleeping safely back on Earth. He made another promise to himself. No alien would ever hurt her again. He returned to Earth quietly, bringing information about the alien movements and their weaknesses. He shared some of it with trusted authorities, carefully hiding the full extent of his abilities. He wanted the aliens to underestimate humans one last time. Then, he would show them the truth. Maya noticed his return and approached him again. "You did all this by yourself?" she asked, surprised. Daniel nodded calmly. "I needed to understand them first. I cannot fight without knowing what I am facing." Maya studied him closely. She had seen courage before, but not like this. There was something beyond ordinary strength and intelligence. There was precision, control, and a quiet power that came from experience. The next day, Daniel began planning his next move. The aliens had underestimated humans. They had harmed his daughter. And now, he would prepare a strike that would make them think twice before targeting humans again.
He moved quietly, gathering equipment and intelligence, always thinking ahead.
Every patrol, every movement of the aliens was recorded in his mind. Every weakness would be exploited. Every mistake would be punished. Lily recovered slowly from her wound, but Daniel did not let her see the full danger he was preparing to face. He wanted her to feel safe. He wanted her to know that humans could protect themselves. By the time the aliens were ready to act again, Daniel would be ready. He had studied them, learned their patterns, and prepared his strategy. They had thought humans were weak. They had thought he was ordinary. They had made a mistake. And soon they would see the truth. Humans were stronger than they imagined. They were clever, determined, and dangerous. And Daniel Harper, the quiet father who had protected his daughter, was only the beginning of what they would face. Daniel Harper arrived at the alien planet before dawn. The sky was dark, filled with stars and a faint blue haze. The rocky terrain stretched for miles. In the distance, he could see the alien base built into a canyon. The walls were high and reinforced, with energy shields flickering across the surface. It was quiet now, but Daniel knew that silence would not last. He crouched behind a boulder, observing. Alien patrols moved in patterns he had already studied. His eyes were sharp, his mind calculating every step. Every guard, every ship, every weapon placement had been memorized. He had prepared for this moment. Daniel checked his equipment one last time. He had small devices to disable security systems, his weapons hidden under his coat, and his own body ready, trained for decades to react faster, think faster, and strike with precision. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. The first guards were close. They moved slowly, confident. Daniel waited until they were almost past him, then leaped forward. His movements were fast, almost too fast to see. He grabbed the nearest alien and twisted its arm, forcing it to drop its weapon. The alien yelped, surprised, but before it could call for help, Daniel had knocked it unconscious. Two more guards approached. He rolled behind a rock, avoiding their line of sight. When they passed, he struck from the shadows. One fell silently. The other ran, but Daniel's speed was unmatched. He caught up to it in seconds, disabling it without alerting the base. Inside the canyon, the base seemed calm. Daniel moved carefully, avoiding sensors and cameras. He had learned the alien technology from the data logs he had stolen. Each step was planned, each movement calculated. His body reacted like a machine, fast and precise, but his mind stayed focused, analyzing every possibility. It was long and wide, with doors on either side. Alien voices echoed faintly from inside rooms.
Daniel pressed against the wall, listening. He could hear their conversation, though he did not understand the language fully.
The tone was harsh, aggressive, and commanding. They were confident, thinking humans could not reach them. Daniel smiled faintly. They had underestimated him. He chose his first target, the weapons storage room. If he disabled the weapons, the aliens would be less dangerous. He moved silently, his hands precise. Using small tools, he disabled the energy locks and shut down the security systems. He left no trace. If the aliens discovered it, they would panic, thinking another enemy had entered. Next, he moved toward the command center. This was where the leaders stayed, the ones who had harmed Lily. Captain Varn was in charge, with Lieutenant Kren at his side. Daniel had studied their movements, their routines. He knew when they would be alone. He climbed a side corridor, avoiding patrols, moving like a shadow. When he reached the command center, he crouched on a ledge above the door. Through the small window, he could see the aliens arguing. They were unaware of the danger coming. Daniel prepared himself. He would not give them a chance to fight back. He opened the door quietly and entered. In a single movement, he disabled the guards outside the room. The aliens inside had no warning. Captain Varn turned. His eyes widened when he saw Daniel standing there. Who? What? He started. But Daniel did not let him finish. With precise movements, Daniel struck. The room erupted in chaos. Aliens tried to react, but they were slow. Daniel's reflexes were faster than their weapons could fire. He moved like lightning, striking, dodging, and controlling the battle. Every punch, every kick, every movement was calculated. The aliens had trained for battle, but never against someone like him. Lieutenant Kren tried to flee, but Daniel anticipated every step. He blocked the path, forcing Kren into a corner. You should have stayed away from Earth, Daniel said calmly. His voice was quiet, but it carried power. You should never have touched my daughter! The fight continued. Daniel moved through the command center, disabling technology and neutralizing aliens one by one. He avoided unnecessary killing when possible, preferring to leave them unconscious. He wanted to send a message, not to destroy everything. Captain Varn tried to call for reinforcements. Daniel stopped him quickly, smashing the communicator with a swift strike. The alien froze, realizing they were trapped. Daniel approached slowly. The alien's eyes were wide with fear. He had never seen a human move like this. You think humans are weak, Daniel said. You were wrong. He paused, letting the words sink in. Then he struck again, knocking Varn unconscious. The command center was quiet. Daniel stood among the fallen aliens, breathing steadily. He had moved with precision, with skill, with speed. He had struck terror without unnecessary bloodshed. But the message was clear. Humans were not weak. Humans were dangerous. He scanned the room, gathering intelligence. Files, communications, maps, all of it could be used against the aliens in the future. He downloaded everything he could, leaving nothing behind. Then he set small devices to create confusion. When the aliens awoke, they would not know what had happened. Daniel moved toward the central control console. He could see the base layout, the patrol routes, and the exit points. He marked them in his mind. Every weakness, every opportunity, every escape route was noted. He would use this information when the full human response came. As he left the command center, he encountered more patrols. Each one was dealt with swiftly, quietly, without raising alarms. His body moved like a weapon, his mind like a computer calculating every possibility. They had believed humans were weak. They had believed he was ordinary. They were wrong. Outside, Daniel reached the canyon's edge. He paused, looking back at the base. The sun was rising, casting light across the rocky walls. The aliens would wake soon, confused and afraid. Daniel had left them a warning. Humans were stronger than they imagined. Humans could fight back. He activated a small device, sending a signal to the alien fleet. The message was simple, clear. Do not harm humans. You do not know the cost. Then he disappeared into the rocks, moving with the speed and skill that no alien could match. He returned to his ship quietly, knowing that he had made an impact. The aliens would report their failure to their superiors. They would spread fear. They would remember the name of the human who had struck without warning. Back on Earth, Daniel returned to his apartment. Lily was awake, playing quietly. She looked up at him, smiling. Did you catch the bad aliens, Dad? Daniel smiled gently. "They won't be hurting anyone anymore," he said. "And no one will ever hurt you again." Lily ran to him, hugging his legs. Daniel held her close, feeling the warmth and trust of his child. He had fought across the stars, faced enemies beyond imagination, but nothing mattered more than protecting her. That night, Daniel prepared for the future. The aliens had underestimated humans, but now they would think twice before attacking. Humanity was not weak. Humans were clever, brave, and strong. And he, a father, a protector, and a super soldier, would make sure the universe knew it. He looked at Lily sleeping peacefully. She did not know the battles that had been fought, the danger he had faced, or the strength he carried. And that was how it should be. She would grow up safe, knowing that her father could protect her. Daniel's eyes scanned the stars from his window. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, but he was ready. He had trained for this. He had fought for this. And he would continue to fight, not for himself, but for humanity, for Lily, and for every human who had ever been underestimated. The aliens would remember this day. They would remember the human who moved faster than thought, struck harder than expected, and survived where no one else could. And they would fear humans in the future. Daniel Harper, quiet father, super soldier, and protector, had sent a message the galaxy would never forget. Daniel Harper returned to Earth quietly. The alien base was behind him, defeated, and the message had been sent. Humans were not to be harmed lightly. He moved through the city streets as if nothing had happened. To the public, he was just a man coming home. But inside, he carried the knowledge that the galaxy had begun to see humans differently. Lily ran to meet him at the small spaceport near their home. Her eyes were bright, filled with trust and relief. "Dad, you're back," she said, hugging him tightly. Daniel held her close. "I promised I would keep you safe," he said gently. "And I always will." At home, he sat with Lily, checking her wound once more. It was fully healing now, only a small scar remaining as a reminder. She smiled at him, unaware of the battles he had fought to ensure her safety. That was how it should be. She would grow up strong and safe, knowing her father could protect her. But Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The aliens had underestimated humans, and that mistake could not go unprepared for in the future. He had seen their fear firsthand. They had believed humans were weak, fragile, and easily intimidated. They had been wrong. He contacted Maya Collins, the scientist who had observed him during the previous attacks. She had been curious about his actions and had noticed the unusual strength, speed, and intelligence he had displayed. "Daniel," she said over the communicator, "what you did, it's incredible." "The aliens. They will think twice before returning to Earth." "But how did you do it?" Daniel spoke calmly. "I have trained my entire life." Humans have potential the galaxy does not yet understand. I only used what I had to protect the people I care about. Maya nodded, her voice quiet with respect. "If humans can do this, the galaxy will never be the same." Daniel smiled faintly. "That is the point! Humans must be ready!" "One day more will come, and we cannot wait to react. We must be prepared." Over the next few weeks, Daniel worked in secret. He repaired damage caused by the alien attack, helped humans who had been affected, and quietly trained himself further. He also began preparing a network of people he could trust. Humans who were strong, clever, and brave. He knew that one man could only do so much. To protect humanity, others would need to be ready. Meanwhile, the alien fleet had received the message. Captain Varn had been disciplined, Lieutenant Kren demoted, and reports sent to the Alien Council about the humans who had struck back. Fear and respect for humans began to spread among alien races. They had assumed humans were weak, but now they saw that even one human could outmatch many of them. Daniel watched this unfold from Earth, careful to remain hidden. He did not seek recognition. Humanity did not need a hero. They needed safety, and they needed strength. At home, life returned to a kind of normalcy. Lily continued to play and explore, curious and bright. Daniel encouraged her curiosity, teaching her about the stars, the planets, and the importance of courage and kindness. But he also taught her caution, preparation, and respect for danger. She would grow up understanding that humans were strong, but that strength required responsibility. One evening, Daniel stood on their balcony looking at the stars. He thought about the galaxy, vast and full of unknown dangers. He thought about the humans, fragile in appearance but resilient in spirit.
And he thought about Lily, the reason he had awakened the full measure of his abilities once again. Maya joined him quietly.
"You changed something," she said softly. "The galaxy knows humans are not weak anymore." Daniel nodded. "Yes, but it is not enough to be known. Humans must be ready. They must continue to grow stronger, to protect themselves and each other. One human can defend a city. Many humans can defend a planet, or more." Maya looked at him thoughtfully. "Do you plan to train others?" Daniel's eyes glinted with determination. "Yes, there are humans who can do more than survive. There are humans who can protect, fight, and endure. I will prepare them. I will ensure humanity is never underestimated again." Over the following months, Daniel quietly began recruiting and training humans. Some were soldiers, some were ordinary people with remarkable talent. They learned to think strategically, move efficiently, and prepare for the dangers the galaxy could bring. All of it was done without drawing attention. Earth needed to appear peaceful to alien observers, but humanity would be ready when the time came. The aliens, meanwhile, were spreading stories about the human who had struck without warning. Across their fleets, whispers traveled. Humans were strong, cunning, and dangerous. The news unsettled even the bravest of alien leaders. Many began to reconsider attacking human settlements. Humanity had earned respect, and with it, safety. Daniel returned home one evening, exhausted but satisfied. Lily was asleep, her small body curled in blankets. He watched her quietly. She had no idea of the battles fought for her safety. She would not need to know until she was ready. For now, she was safe, and that was what mattered most. He took out the small pendant he always wore. It reminded him of his mission, his responsibility, and his promise. No alien would ever harm Lily again, and no human would be defenseless under his watch. The following day, Earth's authorities noticed subtle changes. Attacks that might have happened never occurred. Alien scouts observed humans more cautiously. Trade negotiations changed slightly, with aliens showing more respect. None of them realized that one man, hidden among the population, had shifted the balance. One man had reminded the galaxy that humans were not weak. Daniel continued his work quietly, training, preparing, and protecting. He moved like a shadow, striking only when necessary and leaving lessons behind for those who would need them. His reputation remained a secret to the wider public, but among the aliens and the prepared few, his name became known and feared. Lily continued to grow, strong, curious, and brave. She learned about the stars, the planets, and the need for courage. One day she would understand why her father had moved in the shadows, why he had fought, and why he had trained humanity to be ready. But for now, she was safe. She laughed, played, and lived without fear. And Daniel watched, proud, knowing that he had fulfilled his promise. He had fought the aliens, protected his daughter, and reminded the galaxy that humans were not weak. The stars shone brightly over Earth. Ships from other worlds passed quietly through space, unaware of the human who had changed the rules. Daniel Harper stood on the balcony, watching, thinking, and preparing. The galaxy had underestimated humans, but that mistake would never be repeated. Humanity's time had come, not as victims, not as weak prey, but as a species capable of protecting itself, standing strong in the face of threats, and proving that even ordinary appearances could hide extraordinary strength.
Daniel knew his work was far from over. There would always be dangers, enemies, and challenges.
But he was ready. Humanity was ready. And with that thought, he returned inside, closing the door to the night and to the stars beyond. In the quiet of the apartment, with Lily sleeping peacefully, Daniel Harper allowed himself a small smile.
He had done what no one else could. He had protected his child, awakened humanity's strength, and sent a warning to the galaxy.
Humans were not to be underestimated. And now, for the first time in years, he felt hope. Real hope. The kind of hope that comes from knowing that the future, though uncertain, was in capable hands. Hands that would fight, protect, and endure. Hands that carried the promise of humanity's true strength. The galaxy would remember, and humanity would rise.